We were assigned to create a modern mask design based on our own stories. The story can be anything, from a favorite memory to an unfortunate experience. It has to come from our lives. My name is Nazifah Zahara, and this is the end product that I managed to complete. When I googled modern mask designs, a lot of these tribal abstract designs popped up. I liked the simple but eye-catching look and wanted to portray a similar feel to my own work. However, these designs barely show any kind of expression, so I had to look up some more designs that were centered on expressions, like these. With that, I combined these two ideas and styles. The background or story behind my mask is a funny yet unfortunate story that took place in a foreign country. During a trip to Australia with my family a few years back, I slept on the tram and was left behind by my family, causing me to become lost once I stepped out of the tram because they were already steps ahead from me and I couldn't see them nearby. I had no connection to Wi Fi, so I couldn't contact any of my family. I had to walk around the neighborhood to search for my family members while being scared, anxious, nervous, and worried, accompanied with endless overthinking that something bad might happen to me, which caused me to cry. Eventually, my dad found me, and I cried into his arms. It was a short but terrifying experience, especially because I was still a kid during this time. The sorrowful and anxious filled face on this mask is what I probably looked like back then, a lost child that couldn't find her family. I originally wanted to create a mask with a nature based concept, but realized that expression isn't being focused in here. I took a simpler route with less complex details and thought of a more impactful event in my life, and finally came down to this. I chose to go with this design because it looks closest to the given example in the project brief. For materials, I used cardboard, masking tape, acrylic paint, and a black marker. Cardboard has a smooth texture to paint on, so it's easier. However, I wanted to add on an unusual texture on the mask, so I added strips of tape. I used acrylic because it's a strong paint that gives off high vibrancy in color. Lastly, a black marker was used to create outlines and details. According to the project brief, three elements of design have to be inserted into this mask, which are color, emphasis, and contrast. For color, I have chosen blue as the main color. The mask has a sorrowful expression, so I thought blue would be suitable since it is a color that is often associated with sadness. The white patches are supposed to represent purity and innocence, which reflects a child's mind. To add emphasis onto the mask, I've made the expression as the focal point, which is the crying face you are seeing here. The muted background with a lighter shade of blue creates contrast to the striking expression with a bold outline and color. The drips of paint that portray tears and sweat, with tears representing sadness and sweat representing anxiousness, were done in a darker blue to create contrast to the background with a lighter blue. Lastly, texture. This is an additional element of design that I have added. The irregular and rough-looking texture of the mask represents an unstable pattern of mind which is due to the excessive amount of thoughts and overthinking that my past self felt when I realized that I was lost. Some of the challenges I faced for this mask are relating the design with the story. I was confused on how I could create a design that is not only unique but is also relevant to a certain life story I've had. For example, the first draft that I've shown you looks visually pleasing, but doesn't seem to have a noticeable story to it that would make people go, I wonder what the story behind this mask is. Most people would just think that it's a pretty looking mask when they see this design, and that clearly defeats the criteria of this assignment, which is to tell a story that's related to your design. To overcome this, I chose a life story of mine that is more impactful and contains strong elements of feelings and expressions. With a more impactful story, I can create a more unique looking design that has my own touch to it due to the story being a bit more personal. I also tried my best to meet the lecturer's requirement by following closely to examples given in the project brief, because whenever in doubt, students should always refer to the project brief.